kind of like you're in your own little world there. You're trying to compete against the other people. You know, there's friends at the racetrack that are from all over the United States, and it's kind of like that's where your best friends are. You don't even have any friends at home. All your friends are at the races, so you get to see them when you go. It's a very family-oriented sport, and it gets in your blood. It's hard to get it out.
It's the end of an era. On this, the final edition of Inside ATV Racing, we'll look at some of the highlights of the 1999 season as seen on Speed Vision, and follow Doug Gust on his triumphant charge to his first national championship. Also, we'll take a trip down memory lane and revisit some favorite moments from the Inside ATV Racing series. It's our final tribute to the sport we all love so much.
I'm sure there's probably a...
Before the first pro motocross got underway, two of the series' heavy favorites were out of the running. Perennial motocross favorite Doug Gust and fellow superstar Joe Bird were forced to withdraw after uncharacteristic practice crashes. With one blow, the cruel hand of fate had taken out both the flagship riders.
Round one of the ATV Grand Nationals for the 1990 season was one that would mark change. A look around the pits showed new color and life to a series that has been in need of some newfound support. Banners declaring new sponsors to the series and a brand new track were things that were welcomed by all in attendance. 2 days prior to this Camp Coker, South Carolina event brought rain, lots of rain, but no fear, the track was very sandy and would soak it up. A cakewalk for most, or so they thought. In the first qualifier, Doug Gust showed up big. Knowing this might be his last run at the elusive championship title, Doug blasted his TC-powered mount through the qualifier and finished nearly a minute over second place Tim Farr. An unbelievable effort and a sure sign of things to come. In the second qualifier, Travis Spader rocketed his Duncan roll design bike to a commanding lead over Ben Jackson and Harold Goodman. Just as the spectators were reserved to the fact that it was going to be another Spader walk in the park, Ben Jackson dug deep and put on a charge that would be remembered for the rest of the season. Within a few laps of the checkers, Jackson made up a 15-second deficit and pressured Spader into a crash. We were told later that a rock wedged the rotor, but Jackson and Goodman were able to capitalize. Jackson took the qualifying victory in front of an elated crowd. The main event was a race that not many of the riders were looking forward to. With the whoops as deep as the bikes themselves and half the track covered by them, many of the riders were not ready for this type of pounding this early in the season. As the 20-rider gate slammed the sand, the bikes blasted around the first turn, finding Travis Spader and Tim Farr with the lead, followed by Shane Hitt, Jeremy Schell, Goodman, and Jackson in tow. Still riding on a high from Moto 1, Ben Jackson once again spread his wings and proceeded to fly towards the front of the pack. Over the course of the race, Ben managed to work his way past some of the nation's finest riders and found himself in a comfortable third-place position. But what of Doug Gust? We said this track was rough and tough, and it claimed Gust as one of its victims. Look closely as Gust takes a fanny ride through the soft Carolina sand. Unfortunately, this maneuver would take Doug out of a podium finish and give him a 5th place overall. As the minutes turned into hours for most of the riders, many fell into a pace and held their positions for the duration of the race. Travis Spader was the easy victor over Tim Farr, and Ben Jackson held on to a convincing 3rd place win over the rest of the pack. But check out Travis, not even winded.
The way you ran out there just a moment ago, it almost looks like this is going to be your season hats down if things don't change.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we were unfortunate the first moto, you know. Everything came together second moto. It's going to come together the rest of the year, so I think we should cover all 6 motocrosses this year.
Yeah, I really felt good, but I mean, I'll tell you what, I thought I was in shape running on that clay, but it ain't nothing like it's saying.
Takes it out of you, huh?
Yeah, that last moto sucked about 95% of what I had.
Well, I tell you, it's still a good race. Gus was coming up to challenge you there in the last lap, and I tell you, you really rose to the occasion because Doug was really supersonic there.
Yeah, I heard somebody come up on me real quick, and I was pretty sure it was Doug because he's probably in the best shape of anybody out here. And they gave me the white flag, and that was what gave me the energy. I was like, one more lap.
Were you doing math out there, figuring out what was going on?
Yeah, I sure was. I came to this race. I knew I wasn't in the shape to run with the front guys, you know, right up in the very front. And then especially after I got here and saw how rough the track got, you know, I was really worried. But I knew if I got some good starts and just rode smart and consistent, that, you know, I was shooting for a good top 5, but, you know, a win's great.
It was the story of the unexpected. Who would have thought that there would be over 600 quad riders to converge at the Loretta Lynn's Dude Ranch for a weekend of battle? Who would have expected that there would be a tree in the middle of the TT track? And who would have thought that the weekend of pro racing would have ended up the way it did? Many of the racers are becoming critical of the red flag starts, and here's one example of why. On the third restart of the pro main event came the incident that no one ever expected to see. Greg Baker, the top TT rider in the country, and Doug Gust, the foremost motocross rider in the country, were both left on the ground after a devastating crash. Especially devastating to Gust, who immediately knew that any hope of the national championship was shattered as he tried to move his ankle. The look on his face told the story, the pain clearly coming not from just the ankle injury. Round 2 of the ATV Grand National Series featured some of the best and closest racing action that's been put forth in quite some time. A huge crowd was on hand to see the nation's best do battle on what is considered to be one of the best ATV tracks in the country. In Heat 1, number 708, Harold the Bumblebee Goodman pulled the whole shot over national champ Tim Farr. Jeremiah Jones and Ben Jackson were dicing for third position, and it wasn't long before the group ran off and left the rest of the pack buried in the hilly terrain. Farr did the best he could to overtake Goodman, but it was the Bee who shut the door on every one of these opportunities. At the checkers, it was Goodman, Farr, Jones, and Jackson finishing close enough together that you could throw a blanket over them. After a first turn pileup in Heat 2, number 76, Derek Wiseman emerged with the whole shot, followed by his TC Racing teammates, Jeremy Schell and Doug Gust. This trio quickly separated themselves from the rest of the pack, but it was Doug Gust who was in the driver's seat for this one. Wiseman faded after a few laps, and Schell was the only thing between Gust and the front of the pack. Gust applied pressure to Schell for most of the race and eventually wore him down and passed him through the Supercross 6. With his usual flair, Gust checked out and won the heat in convincing fashion. The start of the main event was just the beginning of the excitement. Watch number 6, Mike Maniaci, as he gets steamrolled in the first turn. Unfortunately, ATVs don't lay down as pretty as dirt bikes do. Tim Farr took the whole shot, followed by number 8, Benny Jackson, Jeremy Schell, and Jeff Seagot. Doug Gust, who was held up in the first turn annex, was back in 6th. Pro 250 rookie Ben Jackson was stuck to Tim Farr like glue for the first 5 laps of the moto, but rookie impatience would be his downfall. While Gust was busy making a move into 4th position, Jackson tried to pass Farr over a 100-foot step-up. Unfortunately for Jackson, the 30-mile-an-hour wind blew him off the track and into the fence lined with spectators. Ben was okay, only his pride was hurt. Back to Gust. Gust had now managed to catch and pass everyone on the track, and his sights were set on Tim Farr. With 2 laps to go, Gust poked his bike in every available opening, not once, twice, but over and over again, only to be continually denied by Farr. The 2 wily veterans battled to the very end, but it was Farr with the edge at the checkers, followed by Gust, Jeff Seagot, and Jeremiah Jones.
I don't know, it was great, man. I got a good hole shot, managed to pull out a little bit. Benny Jackson gave me some pressure there for a while, and I guess he crashed out. But I just tried to get a good lead. You know, I faded a little bit towards the end when Gus caught me, but I pretty much knew where he was going and took away some of his lines, and, you know, it worked out real good.
All the first couple laps, you know, we come out of the corner, and you could feel the wind blowing on you. And I just didn't think that, you know, I didn't think the wind was blowing that lap. I come around, I didn't feel it on me, so I thought maybe I'd try the 2 tabletops up at the top, and the wind blew me off the track. I crashed, went over the fence.
Pretty big fence.
Yeah, I was running around up there in the trailers trying to find my bike. The spectator told me it's still on the track.
I tell you, the second to the last lap, it was incredible. You stuffed your bike into every corner that you could possibly find. Was there a point when you just said, I can't get by him?
Yeah, there was. What happened was my Nerf bar nets kept getting stuck in my boots, and I couldn't shift, and I'd get so close, and then I'd go to shift, and I'd miss, you know. And that happened the last 2 laps, but I gave it all I had.